Welcome to A Word from the Wise podcast from Solwise. We come to you the first of each month. We will have a guest talking about current products, news that's going on in our industry, and just our opinion on stuff generally. Welcome to A Word from the Wise, our third podcast in our new series.
Oh shit. Sorry, you can carry on.
Clip it onto your belt and we'll start again.
Oh, you can carry on. Adds to the humour of the event.
Well, talking of the humour of the event, elephant in the room, the outfit, what's that all about?
I was sold.
Yeah.
I was sold by an American who does some sort of Native American type gear.
So those listening to us will really do need to go to the YouTube and have a look at Steve's outfit. It really is something quite to behold, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I'll explain it, it's a bit of a Aztec / Navajo Indian type of arrangement, and with his long hair, it just really sets it off, doesn't it?
Yeah. Headband next time with a feather sticking out.
Definitely. There you go. So we'll be interested to see what your outfit is for next time. Anyway, so back to the business. So welcome to the podcast, our third one in this series. We today are going to talk about some of the letters and acronyms around 4G and 5G and what everything means, and just give an idea of what's what. So firstly, we've got LTE, 4G and 5G. But you often see 4G and LTE used intermingled. So where does that all fit in? What's the difference? What does it all mean?
The problem is the original specification for 4G, which came out 2008, I think, had a set of parameters that said it must do this, it must do this, it must do this. And one of the things, for example, is it must do 1 gig download. And particularly the British mobile phone operators were in a rush to get something to market, and they like to call it next generation because the British public are a glutton for next generation product. So they wanted to start calling it 4G. Even though it wasn't 4G, they wanted to call it 4G. Right. So this new speed mobile connectivity solution appeared, and they wanted to start calling it 4G, but they couldn't technically call it 4G because it didn't do all the speeds and everything that 4G was supposed to do. Now, the appropriate bodies, and I don't know which body it is, came up with this idea of LTE, which stands for long-term evolution, which basically broke down the various stages of getting to 4G in a series of improvements, speed improvements, upgrades, etc. And but it still wasn't true 4G. It was
kind of 4G light, perhaps.
Yeah. It was a series of stepping stones to 4G.
Right.
And the problem was the British public were a bit thick.
Can't say that.
And they couldn't cope with calling it LTE.
Right.
The rest of Europe calls it LTE.
Yeah.
Can I say rest of Europe now? Anyway, Europe calls it LTE. So you go, into Europe and it's all called LTE because they're brainy enough to realise that it's not actually 4G. We are a bit not quite up into that, and our people wanted to say, let's call it 4G.
Maybe we just like numbers better.
Yeah, perhaps we can't cope.
We have too many 3-letter acronyms as it is anyway.
Long-term evolution might be too many letters for us to remember or something. So they come up with LTE.
Yep.
So LTE is a series of stepping stones, eventually right at the top, which nobody's ever reached and nobody ever will reach. Now we've got 5G there. Is a series of stepping stones to faster and faster 4G, for want of a better phrase, mobile communications. I do actually have a table here, which I admit I nicked this off somebody else's website. But what I'll do is I'll try and get the data from here and see if we can get it on our website. But basically it breaks down the different stepping stones in the LTE ladder. Now each stepping stone they called a category. So you have category 4, 6, 7, 12, 17, This table goes up to category 21.
And often we see that listed as cat, don't we? So
Yeah.
on our website, for instance, we call them cat 4, cat 6 and
Yes.
so on. Yeah.
So when the UK version of 4G first hit the streets, it was predominantly category 4, which is 150 meg download speed. And
So that's routers like our 240, 950.
yeah,
like
the
normal standard routers.
99% of the 4G kit that you see in the UK will be LTE category 4, which uses 2 aerials. So it's 2 streams of data. So if you think about it, it's 150 meg, so that's 2 streams of data of 75 meg each, giving you 150 meg. Then the next rung on the ladder, which some of the better routers and mobile products support, is category 6. Now category 6 is 300 meg, and that can be done over 2 antennas or 4 antennas. It's usually done over 2 antennas, and that's 300 meg, which, think of the maths.
So what benefit is there from having 4 antennas then? If you
No
say it's
idea.
normally over 2
Well, I would
antennas.
say my gut feeling is that you would end up with better spatial arrangement between the different 4 antennas.
Oh, that would make sense.
So the rather than taking 2 streams in per antenna,
Yeah.
you're taking 1 stream, 4 antennas, which gives you better spatial separation between the streams of data.
Yeah.
None of our category 6 routers support 4 antennas. I don't know of any category 6 antennas that support it. Now, the thing about these higher categories is the higher categories are supported within the mast.
Right.
So the masts are capable of supporting these higher categories.
You mean the mast as in the cell tower
The
mast?
cell tower
Yeah,
mast that
okay.
you go into, which means that you can get your SIM from EE, Vodafone, whatever, and you can put it in. And if you put it in a router that supports category 4,
Yeah.
then you should get 2 streams giving you category 4 to your local mast. If you put it into a device which supports category 6, then in theory, because the mast is doing the work for you, you should get 300 meg, 4 streams coming from the mast.
Right.
So the key thing here is it's the mast that's doing that final mile.
So do you have to have the right SIM mode to go
I don't
in
think
these
so,
higher
no.
categories? Right. Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I would not be surprised if some operators maybe want to charge you more for a higher category capable SIM, but I'm not aware of it as far as I know.
And because we don't do SIMs, people would have to do their
Yeah,
research
yeah.
into that, wouldn't they?
But we have actually had feedback from punters that have done the back-to-back comparisons. They've taken one of our category 4 routers and they've shoved their EE SIM in, or the Vodafone, or whatever, and they've got, let's say, I think the last one member who I spoke to actually, he was getting 30 meg on category 4. He then changed to a category 6 router, something like our XO9 or something like that, which is a category 6 router. Take the SIM out, put the SIM in the category router, immediately got double the performance.
Oh, wow.
Which is what you expect really, because suddenly you've got an extra, you've doubled the number of streams of data that are coming from the mast.
Yeah.
So just by changing the router, go for a high category router, he immediately got his speed improvement. So although it says, for example, category 6 will give you 300 meg, what it really means is category 6 should give you double what you're getting with category 4.
So what about when we do a Cat 12 router, the X14? How does that fit?
Well, the category 12 is a, SETI creeping a sheet here, is a 600 meg. So if you think about it, that's double the number of streams that you're getting from your category 6. Now the category 12 ones, yet again, apparently you can do category 12 over 2 antennas, but our category 12 router, which is the X14, X14, actually uses 4 aerials. So that would presumably 2 streams per aerial, giving you 8 streams of data coming in to a maximum download speed of 600 meg, and I can't remember what the upload speed is.
So when it's got the 4 antenna connectors on the back, you would have to consider a different sort of antenna arrangement than if you were getting external antennas.
Yeah,
so for instance, the new ones we've got, the Dash 21 has from pointing has 2 leads, then it has a Dash 41 which has 4 leads.
That's right, yes. You'd have to go for either, well, you could either go for 2 2x2 antennas, giving you 4 in total, so you could go for 2
So if you had two X-Pol ones, for
Yeah,
instance.
you go for two X-Pol ones, they give you four. They give you four, or you could go for one of the new four MIMO 4 antennas.
So the Dash 41 that we've got from pointing bills itself as a 5G antenna, but that would still be okay to be used with a Cat 12 4G router.
Yes.
Yeah.
My gut feeling, don't know for definite, is that you hinted at would it be better to have separate antennas?
Yeah.
Well, my feeling is that if you went for two 2x2s, that might be better than one 4x4.
Well, that would make sense, because if you recall when we did that pointing training last year, and we talked about how they set the antennas on boats. We did some marine antenna training, and then they showed us that if they were at least, I think, 60 centimetres apart, you got a much better signal collection, I suppose.
Purely because you're spreading the area that you're getting the streams of data going in.
Yeah.
And if we continue with the categories, the biggest that we do as a build as a 4G router is the category 12. However, it's interesting that of course 5G's come on, because the mobile phone operators are keen to bring out the next technology all the time, convincing us we need to get faster and faster. So 5G's come along. So really that's gone beyond the LTE categories.
Yeah. So LTE is just 4G, and then 5G is just 5G. That doesn't have a 3 letters.
No, 5G seems to use its own terminology for its different performances. But the 5G chipsets all support 4G/LTE to various standards.
So if you were feeling rich, you could get yourself your 5G router now, still use it with your 4G SIM and 4G antennas, ready for when 5G was in your area.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, certainly the 5G router that we do, I think you saw it, was it category 22?
They're category 22. There's two. The two we do from Hongdi and Teltonika don't have their 5G router yet, do they?
No, they say it's too expensive to produce yet.
Well, I think they're too expensive anyway, all round. I mean, what home user's going to spend 600 or 700 quid for a 5G router? But I wouldn't.
But the interesting thing is, I think that a lot of people that are reporting, I went to 5G and suddenly my speed got better. I'm wondering if what they're seeing is the fact that it's actually working still as a 4G/LTE router.
But a higher category.
But a higher category.
Yeah.
So rather than actually doing 5G, it's actually just doing a better LTE category for a higher performance.
Yeah.
Because the 4G has the advantage it's using the lower frequencies, which means it's got better range.
Yeah.
The 5G, you're talking about 3.8 gig, which effectively for the same output power compared with 4G, for the same output power, roughly half your range. So it may well be that people that are saying, "Oh, I'm getting faster with my 5G router than they were," maybe they're just getting a much better 4G speed.
Well, that would make sense. Well, it's certainly, I guess, for people in the countryside, because 5G is more of a an urban thing anyway, isn't it?
Well, because of the range issue.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're in the rural area, you want range is going to be the issue. You're not going to find a mast every 150 yards down the fields. So it may well be that 4G, multi-category, multi-MIMO 4G might actually be better.
Yeah.
And
so that would go into lead that you might as well, instead of paying 600 quid for a 5G router, if you pay a few hundred quid less and get a higher category 4G router, may well actually work better for you anyway, and save you money to boot.
Yeah, may work better for you because it may be giving you better range.
Yeah.
And of course that leads on, we're talking about these frequencies, that leads on to the antenna cable loss.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
If you go in for a up to 3.8 gig that's used by the 5G, you're talking about roughly twice the loss of your antenna cables.
So if you've got an extra long cable, if you've got the router downstairs in your kitchen, for instance, but the antenna up on the chimney, and you've got maybe a 6 or 7 metre cable, if not longer, then you've got the loss there over that higher frequency.
I mean, going on to the losses involved in the antenna cable, we always said a rough guideline was 0.5 dB per metre.
Yeah. Plus a little bit for the connectors.
Yeah, a little bit for the connector. It's a rough hand wavy thing because the 4G particularly uses a whole range of different frequencies, so it's a sort of workaround figure as half a dB. That means when you're using a 4G that, well, most of our stuff comes with a 5-meter cable, which is a happy compromise between length and losses, etc.
And it's quite useful at Pointing put antenna cable losses on their data sheets as well. So
Do they?
Yeah.
Right.
So people can check there as to what the cable losses.
The losses aren't necessarily super important. If you lose, let's say 3 dB in the antenna.
Yeah.
But that enables you to put the aerial in a position where suddenly, let's say, it gets a 10 dB better signal, then obviously that 3 dB
So offsets
is outweighed by
it,
the 10.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's also worth bearing in mind that the difference between an excellent 4G signal and a very good 4G signal is something like about 15 dB.
Right.
So if you already had a very good signal, then losing an extra 3 dB in the cable still means it's a very good signal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. If the signal's rubbish in the first place, then it's certainly extending the cable is not going to make it any better, unless it enables you to put the antenna in a position where it's going to get a better signal.
But we do on the odd occasion have people saying that they'd like a 30-meter cable. Now that really isn't a sensible idea.
Well, yeah. I mean, as you know, we used to have a policy of trying to talk people out of doing things like that, but sometimes you're hiding to nothing.
Yeah.
People still want to go for their 30-meter
Well, I've
cable.
got one ongoing at the moment where a chap wants he needs a 20-meter cable just for the practicalities of where it's all located. But because at the moment we've suspended the cable making program, he's using extensions, so he's got the connectors in between as well, which gives him even more
so
loss.
he's losing what, 0.3, 0.5 a dB in the connection.
So he's got four sets of cables doing that.
I think the people are always fixated on this idea that I want my router to go in this room on that bench, on that table, and that's where I want it. And the reason I want it there is because if I was to put my router higher up in a different room, closer to the antenna, so I can be shorter, that would mean the Wi-Fi from the router wouldn't work as well.
But you could get extra stuff in. You could put an access point.
Well, that's
in,
it.
Yeah?
I mean, and you and I adopt the same philosophy. We've both got routers at home, and neither of us use the Wi-Fi that's built in the router.
That's right. Yeah.
We turn the Wi-Fi off in the router.
Correct. Yeah.
And we have a separate access point running from a LAN cable.
Yeah.
So that's what people should do. What they should do is, even if it means they put the router in a upstairs room or even in the loft, put it there, have a shorter antenna cable, run a LAN cable down to where you need the Wi-Fi, and then plug an access point.
Well, that's what we've got. Our house looks like one of those houses that you draw when you're a kid, so the stairs go up the middle, and our access point is on the roof of the stairs, you know, the slopey bit, and that's where our access point is, and it covers the whole house.
Well, my access point's chucked behind the TV along with the router, but I've still got a separate access point.
Well, sometimes you get better Wi-Fi doing that anyway, don't you? If you've got a better quality
usually
Wi-Fi
the
access
Wi-Fi
point.
in a business grade access point will be better than the Wi-Fi that's built in a standard run-of-the-mill domestic router.
Yeah. So Teltonica have recently we've done the mobile stuff from Teltonica for quite some time, but they seem to have brought in these new networking products as well.
Yes.
How does that fit into the range? Because there's a Wi-Fi router, but that's not 4G, is it?
No,
And
they've got
some switches
about
as well.
3 different routers, I think, initially, and some in a few switches. What they're trying to push them more towards more of the industrial targeted markets.
So are they still going to be the metal outers and?
Yes. So at the moment they're still using that sort of DIN rail mountable enclosures and everything that the.
Although they have got that new. A new cheap and cheerful 4G router coming through.
They've got that coming through as a domestic one, but that's
I think that's
not
due in May, I think, is it? Ish.
Yes.
Yeah.
It keeps them being put back all the time.
Yeah.
We had some samples in, but I never even got to see one because they rushed out the door before I even saw them. However, the punter who bought them hasn't complained, so I should.
Oh, well, that's good then.
That's good then. Yeah.
Well, what I've done on the website, if anyone's interested in looking at the Teltonica network stuff, is I've separated the Teltonica stuff on the website. So we've got a mobile section and a network section. So when you look at the brand stuff, you'll see it's all listed
The
separately.
Ethernet stuff looks quite good,
Yeah.
because all they've done is they've taken the 4G mobile interface out of the routers, for example. So you've got just a normal WAN port, you've got the Ethernet ports you get in a normal router. So it's got all of the VPN functionality, all the firewall functionality, all the cloud RMS management
Oh,
functionality.
I was going to ask about that. It's good that they can still use the
That's
RMS.
all still in there, which is an excellent service. So what is it? It's about £1 a month or something for a router. Not much good for the domestic user, but if you're an installer and you're putting you're putting in all, you may, for example, be a shop chain or something like that, and you just want one in every single branch. Using the RMS cloud service, of course, you can actually now manage them.
We've got quite a lot of people using that now, haven't we? So, it's proved to be extremely popular. Even people that have bought their routers from somewhere else will often buy their RMS
we seem to be going through is it 1,000 licenses a month at the moment or something like that. So
I don't know how many are sold in the UK. It'd be interesting to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Bill, this switch that we've done one of the switches for quite some time now, haven't we? And that seems to have proved popular. And it's one of those that I don't believe there's been any RMAs. We get no complaints about.
No, it's the usual Teltonica stuff. It's robust.
Good quality.
We get the excellent support from Teltonica. That is helped by the fact that we're a VIP. We're a VIP with Teltonica, which basically means that if we have a support query with Teltonica, we send it to Teltonica and we should have a reply within a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Anybody else who's not a VIP customer gets put to the bottom of the queue.
Yeah.
So it does mean that we can send support issues across to Teltonica
and get an answer quite quickly.
And usually we've got an answer by the end of the morning or the end of the afternoon, whenever it is. So, but they're quite good. I've had a play with one of the new routers, and it's very good. The VPN works fine. As you know, we run Zyxel stuff here, but the VPN from the Teltonica routers just worked with the Zyxel stuff. I say just worked. This is really a plug for the Teltonica support. Couldn't get it to work straight away. Screenshots across to Teltonica. I got an answer within 45 minutes of how to make it work. So it took a bit longer than.
Yeah, but even 45 minutes isn't that long in the scheme of things, isn't it?
There's a truism. I couldn't get the Teltonica router to talk to our Zyxel router here. I got nowhere with the Zyxel support trying to get that working. Contacted Teltonica support and got the answer within 45 minutes.
Right, well, that's good. So maybe we need to swap out the Zyxel stuff for Teltonica stuff as well.
It has been hinted at. It has been hinted at.
And then that would make life easier anyway, wouldn't it, if we all had the same thing?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Steve. I think that's all been useful information for people.
Some squash now.
You can have some squash now if you want.
Yeah.
People asked what was in the one last time, and it was a red one. So I told people it was port, but it wasn't. It was blackcurrant juice.
Was it? I didn't know that. I could have had some.
Oh well, I think it was blank the last one you were here. It's when there was nothing in it then.
Right, it was unobtainium.
So I was hoping it might look like whiskey, but it doesn't. Again, so if you want to watch us on YouTube, we have got a decanter on the table. You can see us on YouTube. We're on the usual podcast places: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all your favourite pod places. And that's it for this month. And we'll see you next month. Any queries or questions, ask us. Put something in the comments. Or if you've got any ideas for future episodes, just pop us an email across to sales@solwise.co.uk. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. You can find our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Music, and many of your other favourite podcast suppliers. And if you're a masochist, you'll be able to find us on YouTube and watch us. See you next time.